Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, clap.
Nice.
That was a meaty clap.
It was a very meaty clap, actually.
It's a real meat clap of an episode so far.
Oh, God.
I hate it. No, I'm gonna do an episode of this podcast.
All right, let's do this. Let's see if I remember how to do this.
Oh, I think I remember how to do this. Hey, glorp skips and other dorps. This is Jonathan O. Roselion.
And this is Porply Dorplick. I don't know.
Hey, shits, dicks, and other butts. This is Jonathan O. Buttface.
And this is Butley Phonic.
Hey, guys, and otherwise, this is Jonathan O. Roselion.
And I'm Noah, also known as Polyphonic.
Oh, you almost said Porply. You almost said Porply. You were so close.
Hey, guys, and otherwise, I'm Jonathan O. Roselion.
This is Porply Dickface, and you're listening to Horns and Wings. And this episode, we're talking about another issue, because that's what this show is. Let's dive in. Noah, let's talk about this comic. For once in our goddamn lives, let's talk Saga. Ooh, that's a good podcast name. Do you want to start Let's Talk Saga with me?
Let's start Let's Talk Horns and Wings, which is a Horns and Wings after show.
Talking Wings.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that sounds like something I'd put on my Patreon.
Yeah, so what are we looking at? What are we looking at here on the cover, John?
They killed Planty, old Flowey. It's a flower in the snow surrounded by a streak of blood, and yet the flower does not have blood on it, which makes me think that the flower landed in the snow post blood. Do we know this flower? Are we familiar with this flower?
I was trying to think if we know this flower. I don't believe we know this flower.
This is an unfamiliar flower. Maybe it's something from the rocket ship tree? Is it a
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it a tree flower?
This is one of the again, and every now and then there's a kind of more abstract cover, and this is very much that, but it's very striking, and I think what's especially striking about it is actually the white background, which is so rarely seen in Saga covers, except I guess the iconic first one.
Yeah, which, makes sense for the setting, and that's a really cool use of it. And also, yeah, this is definitely going to be a Lopper nominee for best close-up of plants, I guess, because that seems to be a running theme amongst covers.
Yeah,
but this is a cool one. I don't understand it, and it scares me.
What color is the text? I don't have the text on it.
Good question. I don't know.
All right,
I'm looking at my my collection here.
All right, let me look at Saga issue 30 and see.
Okay,
it's black. That makes sense.
I think that's interesting that it goes for black, red, and white, because that seems very non-Saga. It's not bonkers enough, but the flower makes up for it, I guess.
I feel like this cover definitely is just like, I don't know, if you're just like walking into a comic store and you see this on the shelves, what the hell do you think is going to happen in this? Obviously someone's going to die. I think that's basically all you can tell from it.
I just realized I like the idea of like someone who, because you know how they will like tease issues in like the previews, they'll release the covers like 3 months in advance or whatever. I like the idea of someone having seen this in previews and is like, oh no, is Yuma gonna die in issue 30? That would be terrible.
Yep.
Poor one person.
All right, so shall we turn that cover back, open it up, and see what's inside?
Wow, he just created a new dance craze. Yeah, let's turn that cover back, open it up, and see what's in size. In size.
Know what's inside?
I'm not a good dancer.
Know what's inside? More blood. More fucking blood is inside.
Yeah, it is. Or is that the window of the ship? Is the question. I'm looking at the front page, which looks like blood.
Oh yeah, no, that is the window of the ship.
Ha! Fool. Okay, well we got our little written narration here, which I will now dive into. Hazel's narration kicks things off, talking about how every relationship is an education as we move up through the smoking wreckage of the Dragon Skull ship on the ice planet. She explains each new person we welcome into our hearts is a chance to evolve into something radically different than what we used to be. And we finally stop on an unconscious Marko within that wreckage. Kind of looks like he's in blood, but he is in fact lying on the windshield of the Dragon Skull ship. He's woken up by Ghüs kneeling over an also unconscious Prince Robot, whose screen is like super cracked now. His screen was cracked before, right?
Yeah. He had the one crack kind of going along the left side, but now he's got it kind of spider webbing.
It's like a asterisk crazy shit going on.
It's like my goddamn windshield when a fucking piece of gravel flies up and hits it.
Someone's gears are grinded. Ghüs says they're on the planet from where he felt Friendo tugging at him, just to the east of where they crashed, but Prince Robot needs help first. Marko says, "I don't give a damn." Is that my Marko voice?
That's your Han Solo voice.
As he picks up his sword and shield, the HTN continues with, "Together my parents had learned to be much more than the sum of their parts," whatever that means. And that's our opening scene. He's on a fucking mission, man.
Yeah. I think I think the red of the ship is really, really cleverly done with being primed by the blood on the cover. Like it kind of it adds this kind of carnage to the scene. Even though it's not actually blood, the whole page is kind of soaked with this, right?
Yes, yeah. Oh, also I just noticed the fish snacks on the ground in that opening page too. Yeah, no, this is a really cool. Oh man, and then like there's sort of the reflection coming in. This is making so much sense, like geographically.
Yeah.
Because it's a wraparound, sort of like the window of the ship is like wrap around the ship. So if you're lying on one side of it, then that means the other side is above you. And in that last panel, we get the light shining through the top part of the glass, and it's sending this red light that's just bathing Marko as he's like, "I don't give a damn. I'm a cool guy with a sword and shield." That's my Marko voice.
I'm Batman.
I'm not wearing hockey pants. Oh shit.
Where is my wife going?
Where's my that classic Batman line? Where is my wife going?
It was a play on where are the other drugs going.
Oh, perfect.
The other little observation I have here is I like how BKV has not one but two characters who have special abilities that are able to get characters where they need to be for the plot to happen.
Mm-hmm. And they're the two cutest characters, too.
Yeah, exactly.
A reason to bring adorable creatures into horrific battles. I dig it.
I was actually talking about Ghüs and Sophie, because both of them have the kind of like...
Oh, yeah. Well, she is an adorable creature.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it was unclear. You were speaking about her like she was an animal.
Yeah, hold on. You're speaking about Ghüs as if he's an animal. I don't fucking think so. They're all beautiful creatures. We're all beautiful creatures.
Okay. We're really rusty.
I'm so tired. Hey, Noah, do we have anything else to say about this scene? it's a good way to open an episode, if you will.
Yeah, no, I'll take us to the next scene through transitional haration.
Oh, we have a new name for it. We've truncated it even more to traditional haration. All right, hit me up with that traditional haration.
So we get together. My parents had learned much more to be much more than the sum of their parts, whatever that means. And we cut to a close-up of Alana's face that says, separately, they were kind of just a mess. So now we are back inside the astromech. The Last Revolution are listening to what's happening outside, and that allows Alana to get a jump on them. She steals a grenade from Monkey Ears and threatens to blow the three of them up, saying that she's perfectly willing to die if she can't get her daughter back. And what's the superhero one's name? The one wearing hockey pants?
I'm not wearing hockey pants. Alexis.
Lexus says she's full of it, and Alana says, motherfucker, do I look like I'm acting? Which is great delivery. So then they relent, and they let her out of the room. As Alana steps out into the room, she finds Dango, who gives her a gun, and says that they need to get something from the engine room. Then we cut to Clara, who is armed and is walking, looking for Alana, and just as they find Alana's room, and Clara has Hazel with her, just as they find Alana's room, she's outside the door, and it gets blown open by Lexus with her power energy hand gloves, her Iron Man gloves, and we end the scene on some blue, which is feck, which I believe translates to fuck.
Now, you want to hear something hilarious?
What?
If you go to the blue translation website, feck is translated as shit, which seems...
That doesn't sound right.
Now, it could be like fecal. So there is like a root word thing going on there, but also it very much does not sound right. And I think there have been fecks before in this comic, and I think we always just assumed, well, feck is fuck. But I don't. According to the website,
I'm Googling this.
Please do.
Yeah, no. According to Google, it's shit.
Us pompous Americans, the two of us.
No.
Thinking both of us speaking our American, assume everyone else speaks American, just like the two of us Americans.
No.
So I'm so disappointed in us together in this.
Okay. Okay, let's get to the next scene before I end you.
A couple things I want to point out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We didn't talk about this scene.
No, this is the podcast now. Is we just explain scenes and then do not talk about them. So I love. Well, to go chronologically, that was. I like their approach to the showing that she's taken the grenade, but without you actually noticing.
Yeah.
Where it's literally like. One panel, he has the full bandolier of grenades. Second panel, you see a hand sort of grabbing towards one, but you don't see it actually grabbing it. And then the next panel, he's flipping her over, and he's missing one grenade. And it's very easy to miss, but I like that they have those details in it for when you go back and look at it like I did. And
then the reveal when she does have the grenade is her on the white background, which is always a kind of like a great little punctuation that Fiona Staples does a lot of.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if things like that are that's probably a Brian K. Vaughan decision, eh?
Possibly. Well, it seems to largely be connected to how busy a panel is, so I feel like that might usually fall into Fiona's purview.
But I think it's also usually used for like a kind of like emotional impact, right?
Yeah, there are ones that are used for emotional impact, but then there are also ones where it's just like multiple characters in a small panel with dialogue where they would get lost easily. So I don't know, he might recommend it for certain ones, but also she's fucking brilliant. I wouldn't be surprised if she shows it on her own. So another thing I absolutely love is the transition of you've seen Last Crusade. In Indiana Jones and Last Crusade.
Yes, I have seen Last Crusade.
That's why you don't say it skeptically, as if I just said you've seen Last Crusade. I predicted you judging me for assuming you hadn't, so I assumed you did, and then you still judged me for it. So in Last Crusade, it's my favorite joke in the whole series. The Nazis find out that Marcus Brody, the like older library / professory dude, has like the missing page of the Grail journal, and Indy's like, you're never gonna find him. He speaks a dozen languages, knows every city, has connections in all these places. He was gone like before you even knew he had whatever, like a 3-day head start. He's gone. And then it just cuts to him in the middle of this market, and he's just yelling out, "Does anybody know English?" Like, I don't understand what's happening. Does anybody here speak English? And they have a near identical and fantastic joke in this scene where Dango says, "Don't worry, my friend. Clara is armed now and more dangerous than ever." And then just cut to Clara saying, "Where the hell are we?" And just no idea what she's doing. And it's just, I feel like no one does transitions better than Brian K. Vaughan. I just love it so much. But that one especially made me chuckle. Why the Last Man has a ton of those. Like, he was really in a transition phase with that comic. Is just like every transition is a joke in that. It's fantastic.
I think it's I think I prefer it here where there's a fair amount of jokes, but it's less kind of quip heavy, but the quips are still really good, and I think cuts like that are kind of a good way to add some narrative momentum and like spice up an otherwise normal scene transition and play with dramatic irony a little bit. Like, I think it's a little thing that you can add into your stories that just makes it that much punchier and that much more readable, you know?
Yeah, and I would actually be interested in just like sort of counting the jokes in each issue, because it like there aren't ones that feel, you know, even more hilarious than usually. Like, they're all generally the same tone, and there definitely aren't any issues, like even really dark ones, like the like Marko going on his like drug trip had the stuff in between with Ghüs and Prince Robot interacting that was absolutely hilarious. And so I love how it's almost like used as a button, like in comedy shows and stuff. They always have like the joke that is the button at the end of the scene.
Yeah.
That I think that's used a lot in this, and it just gives it a much brighter tone than it would have otherwise.
I think it's very similar to the kind of writing style in like the MCU or something like that, though it's not quite as joke heavy as the MCU, and I think that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the kind of the quippiness of it is very much in that ilk, and it makes it a lot. I think that's another thing that's part of the readability, especially when you're doing such like intense, heavy stories with such a broad cast of characters and really high emotional stakes.
Yeah.
It makes it a lot easier to kind of read along and follow if you get to chuckle.
Yeah.
And I think comics in general are great for that.
Yeah, which in there are some where it like starts to bother me a bit, and obviously it's baked into certain characters, like Spider-Man.
Yeah,
just no matter what, in the most absurd situation where it's the most life-threatening shit, he'll have like some funny thing to throw out. And I think that Brian K. Vaughan has definitely done that. I think, you know, that's probably the case with Why the Last Man, with York, like a lot of the time saying jokes in totally inappropriate situations and stuff, and I think that he dodges that a lot here, which adds a lot to the gravity of situations.
I think the big thing too is that various characters quip. There's lots of visual puns. There's lots of jokes, but there's no character who is like the smart ass jokester, right? Whereas like in Y the Last Man, that is who Yorick is, and that's kind of who, like, to look at our other comparisons, that's kind of who Tony Stark is, or in Star Wars, Poe Dameron's got a lot of that in him. And I think it's really interesting to see, because there's no specific character who I would call like comic relief, right?
Well, actually, once we learn more about them, T-Rex Dildo was always cracking jokes. He's a real laugh riot. Is there anything? I think that's what I had wanted to say about this for the most part.
Yeah, no, I think we should move on, because there's some meaty stuff in these next few scenes.
Yes,
that I really want to dig my teeth into.
Just sit back and relax, because I have a lot of reading to do here now. I might stop at a certain point.
There's a real meat slap coming.
There's a real. I'm glad we seamlessly integrated that into the episode now.
Oh, wait, meaty clap. Isn't that what it is?
No, it's meat slap now. You fucked up. We've got the shittier brand now. Yeah, no, this is gonna be there's a lot to get through, so I might take a break if it feels like there's a lot we want to talk about, but
yeah,
we'll see how it goes. Cut to exterior ice planet. Dango and Alana head for the rocket ship tree, Dango carrying Julep's massive golden sword and a glowing orange cube. He says it's fuel he took from the astronomical hoof, which should be enough to get them back into orbit. He's interrupted by Surge, aka Fire Soul's armor face.
McGatling gun.
and yeah, he's aiming this like massive like mini gun. I guess it's just a normal gun, huh? If it's a massive minigun. But yeah, he tells him he says, "Where the heck are you taking her?" And Dango just says, "Ah," as he immediately like charges up Julep's sword and like rips through Surge with this big lightning bolt. And with their dying breaths,
Dango Unchained.
Thank you. With their dying breaths, Surge says that they haven't seen anyone, meaning that Clara and Hazel have yet to leave the hoof ship. Cut to a very dead Julep on the next page, who died off screen for once.
Bodies hitting the floor left, right, and center.
Oh, this one's gross. This is a gross one. I don't like looking at it. But yeah, very dead Julep back in the hoof control room, pilot cockpit. I don't know. Ziz and Lexus, now holding Clara and Hazel hostage, decide to just cut their losses instead of fucking around with Dango. And Lexus hits a big red button, and there's a blinding light, and then the hoof is just gone. It's hopscotched off the planet, which was the thing that was just introduced last issue.
Yeah.
As a thing that ships can do.
Yeah.
Conveniently. Dango tells Alana that they couldn't have gone far without their fuel source, but Alana's too furious to listen, turning her gun on Dango. He asks what she's doing, and Alana yells, "What I've been trying to do ever since you barged into my life, you gullible R-word." Dango says, "Don't ever use that word. My late son was special needs, and he was the most beautiful," but then he's interrupted by Alana hitting him over the head with her gun and yelling, "Fuck your dead kid." Just an Alana line for sure. She's about to pull the trigger when someone calls her name from off screen, and we see that it's Marko. Hazel's narration kicks in, saying that both of her parents struggled with when the use of force was appropriate. Marko asked Alana how she felt about children being physically disciplined, to which Alana replied that she wasn't sure, but if anyone ever raised a hand to a child of hers, she'd kick their fucking ass. And apparently that's right when Marko asked her to marry him.
I'm gonna dub that. That's not transitional Hazel narration. That is character building Hazel narration. So that's CBHN.
Sorry, it's character building haration. where it's
CBH.
characting narration. Thank you. And so, meanwhile, still pointing the gun at Dango, Alana tells Marko that Hazel was taken and it's all Dango's fault and that she just wants Dango to die. And Marko says, so do I. And then we turn the page to see a splash of Marko and Alana hugging, with Marko saying, but that's not who we are.
Oh.
And Hazel's narration says the just insanely profound shit. There's no graduating from this kind of education. Couples just keep growing and changing until they either break up or die.
Jesus. Yep.
Yeah. And we'll cut it off there because we just covered like 10 pages. Yep. But yeah, we didn't. It's them being together that makes each other good.
Yeah. But first, we got to go back. We got to go back,
Kate.
Early on, I mean, first thing, again, this is the little spots of humor I was talking about. The robots are so good for this, with the little fuel icon on Dango's face when he's talking about fuel.
Like is in like a car dashboard.
Yeah, like when you need to fill up. Yeah,
I love his like monochromatic screen too. That's so fucking good.
Yeah. The what's the
Surge
fire robot Surge? Surge's death is sad.
Yeah, I do feel because Surge, all we know about Surge is like it was a bunch of souls or whatever crammed into a suit of armor, and they get like 3 lines.
Wait a minute,
I don't think we even pointed out. You might have just realized it, but the how they did the lettering for this. It was I didn't even notice it I think it was 2 issues ago that Surge had lines, but they do this really cool thing with the lettering where you see sort of fainter copies of what they're saying.
Oh yeah,
behind the letters, and so it's like multiple voices are saying it, which is super cool.
I've got a John conspiracy theory brewing here.
Yes, please.
So you notice the pink essence, the reddy pink essence floating out of what color? What does that color remind you of? Who does that color remind you of?
All half of the people with vaginas on Sextillion. Of course. No, it's.
I was gonna say Isabel.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, yeah. That's gross. Isabel's vagina. She's cut in half.
Okay.
Isabel's pink. Yeah, no, I like this. I like where you're going with this.
Is that just the color of ghosts, or is that
like ectoplasm in this universe?
Yeah. Or because I feel like I don't think Surge is the same ghosts as the same kind of ghosts as Isabel, because. Otherwise, Surge, they wouldn't be able to come out on this planet. But I don't know, the misty red goo, ectoplasm is red in Saga. That's that's canon now.
That's insane, Noah. You're absurd, and you're stupid for saying it. Do you see how it feels?
This is the really meaty stuff.
Do you see how this is the meat clap? This is the real meat clap here. No, I like that. And also, can we just appreciate, speaking of Isabel, can we appreciate how smart it is where it's like, okay, we want a cold planet. We want an ice planet because that's a new planet to do. But how do you have an ice planet that is also day all the time so Isabel just can't like come out and solve everything for them?
Yeah.
And so the idea of it having multiple dying stars around it so that it's just always daytime but always cold is so smart. I love it.
It's cool because it's a piece of world building that is probably built out of plot necessity, but makes the world so much richer. Like, it's such a cool concept.
Yes, absolutely. We get another. Well, it's actually very interesting. We get an all red background to Alana, and this is probably one of the first times that it's been anyone but Marko. As far as I know.
Yeah, I noticed that. I need to go back and see if maybe in the lighthouse Alana gets one or something like that, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, I think that's really interesting and really telling, and makes it all that much more powerful when Marko is the one that pulls her back from that place, like 2 page turns later.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like they're both just like veterans that have been like, traumatized and stuff. Like she does have an aspect of that within her, and it makes sense. So it's really interesting to see him resolve it.
And I think it's really interesting the amount of kind of carnage and gore and violence in this issue. This issue is really kind of like restating the thesis of the story, where you have these visceral deaths of like Julep, and the dead bodies are still lying around, and the ship crash and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But then like at the center of the issue, you have like, that's not who we are, and the uplifting moment is these two people need each other to remind each other to be their best selves, and to search for a path other than the violence that has ruled over their life.
Yeah, no, it's really, I really like this. It's really nice. Also, I just realized in the splash, Alana's fucking barefoot through all of this.
Oh yeah,
Jesus Christ. I'd just fly.
I think she can fly if she needs to, but I don't think it's easy for her.
Just fucking fly. Come on.
I also just love this splash. I would get a print of this splash. This splash is so beautiful.
As
I love the way
it doesn't apply to every splash in this entire series.
Especially the dragon. Especially the dragon.
It's the only dorm room poster I had.
Actually, I don't want that as a print. I want that as wallpaper.
Oh, it's the fucking worst.
I really love the way that the snow kind of curls up, and it's clearly caught in the wind here, and it kind of draws a line kind of perpendicular to Alana and Marko's shape. I don't know. There's just the composition of this image is really, really beautiful.
Yeah,
with
how
the dying star in the top left.
Yeah, like the star and then the snow sort of dictating the eye line past them to the other star and then down, and like all the shadows point towards the voiceover and stuff. It's so well done.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to say, like, it's really nice that, I don't know, we could, and I'm sure we will at some point, get into like a bunch of stuff about just like relationships in general, now that we're both married and knowledgeable about this sort of thing.
Oh yeah, since the last episode I got married.
That's inconsequential.
What up, fam?
No one cares. No one cares. That's great. That's honestly, I'm so happy. But yeah, no, I like that it's sort of this, it's not necessarily this dependency upon each other.
Yeah.
I saw this thing the other day, and I wish I could quote who it was, but it's talking about just in like any sort of social relationships or social constructs whatsoever, how it's like the lowest form of maturity is dependency, and then the next up is independence, and then the next one is codependence is like the highest form of maturity. And I think that, him being back in contact with Alana, just him wanting to be, better, and not necessarily her, like, doing the work to make him better, but just that idea of, like, he wants to be better for her, and that is the resolution to his whole sort of, like, violent sort of phase that he'd gone through. I think that's a really satisfying conclusion.
And him wanting to be better pulls her back from possibly, her seeing that in him pulls her and grounds her. And I think that's a really good sentiment.
And then also, like, it's hard to keep in mind because it's been like 6 months for us, but the last time they saw each other, they had a huge fight. So it's really nice that this is there just immediately, like, they have both figured out how they have fucked up, in their own ways.
I love that Marko says that's not who we are and talks about them as a family and as an entity.
Yeah, it's such a sweet moment. Okay, Noah, go ahead and just fuck my shit up.
Yep.
Just give me a big meat clap across the face here, Noah.
So then we cut to Dango, who is on his knees thanking them for their mercy, and over the horizon, who should show up? But Prince Robot, looking jacked as fuck. He looks like the cover of a romance novel. His black suit is torn and waving in the wind, and you can see his rippling abs underneath. And he says, "Is that the animal that took my wife from me?" And Dango recognizes the prince, obviously, and shows him a picture of his dad's son on his screen, of Dango's dad's son, and tries to make his point. Prince Robot says, "Fascinating," and then we turn and we get a splash page of Prince Robot melting Dango's face with his blaster cannon. It's a full splash page, almost a mirror image, or almost a parallel to the one that we just had, and Dango falls to the ground in a pile of blue goop. And then Robot shows a little rattler on his screen and sees his son, takes it back from Alana, and we end on some more transitional haration, which is...
I really don't want that to stick.
As anyone who's ever been to one knows, family reunions can be complicated things.
All right. Hey, sorry. That was a quick thing. If the audio just changed drastically, that is me switching microphones to make it easier to edit. So we just split Dango in half pretty much.
Yeah, I think this is such a jarring kind of parallel between Alana and Marko, and like it's very much establishing Prince Robot as a foil for them, where he also had his child stolen from him, and he just straight up goes and mercilessly, like, brutally slaughters the man who did it. I don't know. I think it's really cool how they parallel both of the splash pages.
I feel like there is someone out there who accidentally like turned two pages at once, and so it's just like, I want him to die. I do too, and then just cut to him being like cut in half by a laser and no character growth whatsoever. And it's just like, wow, they really meant it. They got Prince Robot to do it, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's really I don't know, I think it's interesting, especially after this arc has been Marko and Robot kind of trying to find commonalities together. It's a good reminder that at their very core, they're still very different. And I think it's also a good reminder to Marko and Alana as characters of who they don't want to be.
Yeah. And it's also a big fucking bummer.
Oh, yeah.
Because Dango is just becoming, like, nicer and better throughout this whole thing.
Well, it's Dango's whole arc is very, tragic in a lot of senses. It's very tragic in the, like, classical literary theory definition of it, where, like, when you're introduced to Dango, he is assassinating royalty and, like, runs on, like, steals a ship with machine guns and is just kind of seems like this, like, paragon of, like, badassery in a way. Clearly he's a bad dude, but I don't know, it's this really interesting descent where by the end he's just kind of like, he when he comes face to face with Prince Robot, which is all that he wanted to do, all that he was driven driven to do this time, his message is just kind of this sad whimper, and then he dies.
Yeah, and it's like it just fucking hurts because it's literally like, he's motivated by wanting a systemic change that caused the death of his child, and so he goes to like an extreme, and then he sees sort of the results of that extreme and starts to sort of like back off from it, and then just dies.
Yeah.
And that's his character arc. And I will, at the end of this issue, I'll talk about sort of the overall effect this arc had on me, because I think this just gets a bit too heavy, which Saga does tend to do.
There is a lot of murder of secondary and tertiary characters throughout this entire arc. Like this arc has a body count. We can look at that once we've finished up our summary.
Yeah, and it's just like in so many. Yeah, we'll get into. I'll save it for the end, but yeah, it has an effect on me. And then, but then we got my baby boy.
Yeah,
robot looking at my baby boy.
Yeah,
which is a quote. I'm just not being fucking weird. That's an actual quote in the book. Not calling Prince Robot my baby boy. Prince Robot is my baby boy, though.
I think it's really interesting. Just generally how like the framing of that panel with the, as anyone who's ever been to one knows, family reunions can be complicated things. And I think it almost speaks to the way that like Prince Robot has become intrinsically tied to this family, as have Ghüs and Friendo.
Yeah. Also, I just realized Alana's face throughout this whole scene, this whole last page of just fucking shock.
Yeah.
Is how I feel on this page. Yep. But also we got Ghüs writing Friendo, so it's all okay.
Yeah. Ghüs, things aren't too bad if Ghüs is there. and then that's kind of the climax of this arc, and then we kind of move into the denouement.
Yeah, let's tie up some threads. So yeah, in reference to that complicated family reunion thing, Hazel's narration continues. It would be a long time.
What was that?
Narration continues. Narration. It would be a long time before I had the pleasure of finding that out for myself. We see the onion ship. What was it called? This like Star Chopper or something?
Star Whacker.
Thank you. We see the Star Whacker landed on a dark rooftop, and then we do like a hard cut to the Will gasping awake. He's surrounded by Gwendolyn, Sophie, and Lion Cat, who are all surprised to see that the elixir actually worked. We see the dragon semen in like an IV bag.
I love that.
Yeah. The Will like barely recognizes Sophie, who's a bit older, since she was last stabbing him in the neck was last time that he saw her. And Gwendolyn explains that it's been a rough few years. As the Will pets Lion Cat, he notices Sweet Boy sitting in the corner, but no Brand. They try to break the news easy to him, but when he realizes his sister's dead, the Will screams some very mean things that I will not repeat at Sophie and Gwendolyn, and he says that they should have just let him rot, and yells at them to leave. And then he cries alone in his makeshift hospital room, with Hazel's narration wrapping up the scene. Nobody knew exactly what kind of nightmare had been awakened that evening, but in time my parents would find out. Man, they like to remind us anytime we like are happy to see the Will or like see him do something. Hazel really likes to remind us that he's a monster nightmare. He's the fucking worst, and it's very foreboding. And again, should be like a hey, the Will's back, and it's a fucking sad scene.
That last shot is just so heavy. Like, it's such a gut punch. I don't know. I think it's as we'll see going forward. I hope that doesn't count as a spoiler. But as we've seen already, this this is a universe where trauma exists and is very real.
Yeah.
And I think we'll explore that a lot more in the future. But I don't know. I feel like, especially generally in like you look at like probably the easiest comparison is you look at Return of the Jedi. Han Solo has been frozen in carbonite, and he like wakes up and is like blind but part of the gang and bumbling and stuff like that. And like I don't know. I feel like in space operas so often these catastrophic things happen, and then the people just kind of move on to the next action set piece. And I think this is a very clear indicator that that's not what the Will's headspace is like right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and also I like that it sort of mirrors that last shot you're talking about is like a bird's eye view shot down on him in the hospital bed, which I just now realized this is in the ship. I always, for some reason, I assumed it was in the building that they're in, but it's just been so long since we've seen the inside of.
Oh yeah,
this
it
ship.
is in the ship. Yeah,
yeah.
I never clued into that.
Yeah, I just realized that, and that so it even more mirrors the that last shot we had of him when he was like bleeding out.
Yes, and it was
true. Sort of zooming out, and it's this very sort of, it's very like end of the season type of shot.
Yeah.
Where it's like this is where we are leaving this story for who knows how fucking long.
And then we get the tease, the obligatory scene that teases the next season.
Yes. I love it. Oh, and also just a real quick thought, but like for anyone who might think he's overreacting, you know, to scream at the people who just saved his life, I did realize while reading this, like, we know everything we need to know about the Will's relationship with the brand in that he named Sophie. And so I feel like that explains like exactly how much he meant to her and how important she was. And so it hurts even fucking worse. But please, let's give us an exciting thing here.
Yeah. I think it's easy to forget all that the Will has been through when he wakes up here. It's easy to forget that since we have met him, he has lost his sister and his girlfriend, and he has been...
And his cape. She took his cape.
Yeah, she took his cape. He sustained injuries that nearly killed him.
Now he has a bunch of... He's just chock full of dragon semen, which, you know, one man's trash. I'm just saying I want to be chock full of dragon semen. Go ahead.
I distinctly remember reading this scene for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
The scene we're about to read. Like, I remember reading this, and this was, like, I was caught up at this point. There was nothing more, and I was like, what the hell? I need more.
Which also, I will explain, I just remembered that I misread this scene a lot when I first read it, so we'll get into that.
Oh, yeah?
But yeah, let's dive into this. I'm excited.
All right, yeah. This is what I call the Saga swindle, which is just as an arc is finishing up, they pull you back in. So we get some THN. Back in those days, I was lucky enough to have...
Noah.
We get some transitional haration.
It's TH. It's either TH or HTN. There are only two states in which haration can exist. Okay.
All right, we get some transitional haration.
Thank you.
Which a reminder, the last panel is nobody knew what kind of nightmare had been awakened, but in time my parents would find out. And then back in those days, I was lucky enough to have other stuff on my mind. We see a close-up of the face of a yellow woman through jail bars. Then we cut to a wide shot and see that she is a like praying mantis kind of thing, wearing a knit sweater, classic Saga. And we learn that her name is Noreen, and she's walking into a room guarded by a landfall soldier. She says, all right, everyone, let's form a circle, and then says something in blue, and then turns and says, young lady, on your bottom, and we turn the page, and there is a, 6-year-old Hazel? 7-year-old Hazel? There was I don't know how big...
40-year-old Hazel, I don't know, she's so old.
Yeah, I don't know how old children are, but there is a child Hazel standing on the desk with the deer in the headlights look of someone who was just caught doing something she shouldn't have. She's surrounded by a bunch of kids who are all horned and seem to be of a similar age, and we end on what's the word for conclusive haration? Conclusive haration. That's what it is.
The final haration.
The final haration is, it was time I started my education. It's another time jump. Oh yeah.
Of course. Yeah, no. So here's the thing that like when I first read it, what was like a given for me was it was like, oh, well, obviously, the Wings have got her and they're keeping her in this sort of like prison facility because they know she's a hybrid child. And my assumption was like, oh, so all these other kids are hybrid childs. If only there's a word. Some kind of plural form of child. But I thought they were all hybrid children. And like my mind gave them wings also. And I thought the revelation was like, oh, there's just a bunch of hybrid kids.
That's really funny.
Yeah, so that was how my brain filled in the scene. So it was even more mind-blowing.
That is very interesting itself, story-wise, too.
Yeah, and I would also not put it past Saga to like sort of take away the thing you thought was special and be like, oh yeah, nah, of course this is happening all over the place.
Yeah.
And I still don't put it past Saga either. But in this scene, I misread it. I jumped the gun a bit. But yeah, no, I love this. I love, what'd you say, Noreen? I love her design. She has a very, like, between the, like, high turtleneck and that haircut, it's very sort of, like, 60s go-go dancer type of thing.
Yeah.
And just the fact that, like, for the establishing shot of her, they have, like, she's carrying papers under her arm, and so her arm, like, naturally takes, like, the pose
the praying
of a
mantis.
praying mantis. That's so good. Ugh.
Yeah.
What do you think the blue is that she's saying?
Hi everyone. Let's form a circle.
You think those 3 words that she is saying is hi everyone, let's form a circle?
I think it says welcome, make circle. So yeah.
It's please make a circle.
Okay, not bad.
So she's essentially repeating the last bit. And so it seems like that's a very like teaching someone a different language thing.
Yeah.
To repeat what you just said. But yeah, no, there's so much to sort of dissect. Hey, you want to hear how fucking dumb I am, Noah? I know you love to hear how fucking dumb I am.
I already know how dumb you are, but I still like it being reiterated.
Yeah. Do you want some additional confirmation on how much of a fucking dunce I am, Noah?
Yeah.
So I was like, because usually I'll read the issue and then I'll just skim back through it and try to find like cool little details that I might have missed. And so on this last splash, I was like, oh, that's cool that you could piece together that she was in a landfall prison because there's the flag with the purple circle in the background. Like that's a cool little detail you get. Like if you pay attention, you can get an idea of what the next arc is going to be. Except for the page prior, in which there is a winged guard.
Yeah.
And it is the most blatant shit in the world that she's in a landfall prison, and it's just like this little detail that I've caught, ignoring all the other major details. I'm a genius. Nope, I'm dumb. She is in a landfall prison. But I do like the other little details of like the one kid playing with a winged toy in the background.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you didn't notice that one.
Yeah,
did you,
like a winged Barbie doll.
Yeah. So I like the subtle indoctrination and like things written in language, etc.
Yep. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's a cool little teaser and another time jump. I can't believe it. She's so old. She's growing up.
Yeah. Let's reflect on this arc now.
Yeah.
Who did we lose this arc?
I don't want to fucking talk about it, Noah. We lost so many. I mean, was this Dango's like? No, that was the end of last one. That Dango like murdered the whole cast, right?
Yeah, that was last one.
But we lost.
We lost the brand. We lost Yuma. We lost Dango.
We lost every fucking like member
80% of the last revolution. Yeah. Well, not everyone. Lexus and Monkey Balls are still out there somewhere. Maybe.
Super Monkey Balls, please. Yeah, and then we saw flashbacks to lots of murder.
Yeah. This is a war is hell issue for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, no, just to talk about what I was talking about earlier, which is this arc definitely just sort of broke me and it left me feeling more sad than good. Like,
yeah.
As sort of exciting as the time jump is, to have that like 1, 2, 3 punch of the brand is dead last issue, and it's just sort of that like that uncaring sort of like, she's just dead. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Like so unceremoniously dead. And then to have a near identical death with Dango, where it's just like, fuck you, I'm not gonna let you finish your sentence. You are dead. And it's like we have that nice moment with Alana and Marko that doesn't especially have a ton of time to sink in. And then they kind of play off Prince Robot getting his kid back as it's like, oh, this outweighs it, right?
Yeah.
His baby, my baby boy. But it's like, no, fuck you.
My
You
baby
just
boy. Please name this episode My Baby Boy. All one word.
My Baby Boy Meat Clap. We gotta combine all the episode titles. Oh god, no. We're not naming this. I'm putting my foot down on this one. Haley gets to decide episode names now. Haley, executive decision. If you want to keep a job, we please do not name this My Baby Boy Meat Clap. But yeah, no, it just like it was like I was still recovering from the brand death.
Yeah.
And then to throw the Dango death on top of that, and then to have like the Will's reaction to waking up, like,
yeah,
on top of that.
Yeah, like I've been like, I think that's another thing too, is just like you're so excited at the concept of getting the Will back.
Yeah.
And then you get him back and he's angry and sad.
Yeah, no, it's like I think this one just barely tipped the scales just too far into like upsetting for me, to where I just think back on this arc and it's just like, it just kind of makes me bummed out. Like it's still so fucking good and so well done, but just in terms of like what it's doing to me emotionally, it just wrecks me.
There's a lot of moments in this arc that feel like in Return of the King, when Frodo and Sam are climbing Mount Doom and like Gollum spreads the crumbs and Frodo gets mad at Sam, and there's just that like, you just feel so sad for Sam when he's sent off. That's how I feel about a lot of this arc. That kind of like, yeah,
very powerless.
Yeah, and that kind of just like, why is all of this happening? Which I guess is the point.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's interesting because I think something Saga does very well, probably better than any media I've consumed, I think, is you actually get a fair number of really heroic deaths that are kind of cathartic in their own way, but then you also get so many deaths that are just unceremonious and brutal, and there's no real like rhyme or reason as to who gets a good death and who just dies, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's really I don't know, I think that's very hard to read, but I think it's very rewarding to read, because it's kind of saying, like, obviously death is bad, but also people are going to have to die, and it's kind of just like, I don't know, just hope the characters you love get a good death, like Bar or Yuma.
Yeah, no, and I'm gonna say, like, if for anyone who might be feeling the same thing, where it's just like, this is just taking a lot out of me, I will say my favorite issue of the series so far
Oh yeah.
is coming up. It's probably my favorite issue, just because I needed that high point. I needed I needed a win after this so bad, and when you finally get it, it feels so fucking good. And it's such a fun fucking issue. I think we're, I don't know, 2 away from it or something.
Yeah, we're 2 away.
Yeah, because we gotta find out what's going on in this prison, man. Next issue, let's find out what's going on in this prison.
All right.
Yeah, I'm excited. Noah,
Yeah.
what's your favorite moment?
God, I think my favorite moment, this might be like a cheat, but I love the parallels between the two splashes. The parallel between Marko and Alana not killing Dango and then Robot killing Dango. Like, those two panels tell worlds within themselves, and I really love that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with half of that, because fuck killing Dango. I'm just going with the hug. I like the hug a lot. It's a really nice moment.
Yeah.
How about a song, Noah?
We're gonna go real heavy on this one. It's a song by have you ever heard of, it was an R&B duo called Peaches and Herb?
No.
Well, you know this song because the song goes, it's called Reunited, and most people just know it as Reunited, and it feels so good.
Thank you. Nothing. Only Noah can make Reunited It Feels So Good feel like you're giving me a real deep cut hipster recommendation for a song.
Yeah, no, my song's Reunited and it feels so good. That's my song.
I'm gonna pull a Noah here, because I don't know if you noticed, but we had the bookend of narration here, and this was something that we should give some credit to the issue for, because the narration starts off talking about how being with a person is an education.
Oh yeah.
And then the last line is, it's time for me to start my education, which is really cool. So, of course, we are going with Another Brick in the Wall Part 2 by Pink Floyd, because we don't need no fucking education, Noah.
Okay.
We're staying alone together. I don't need any relationships. So, we're doing a Noah recommendation.
All right. How's that a Noah recommendation?
Oh, sorry, I meant fucking Reunited by Peaches and Cream. So go check that one out. Because you've recommended like 10 Pink Floyd songs for this goddamn podcast.
Have I, though?
Maybe 9. Noah, here's another Peaches and Fuzz hit right now. Ooh, I bet you didn't know that was good old Peaches and Apples.
Yep. Okay.
Yep. So good old Spices and Herbs. Noah, do you have a question of the week?
I don't think I do. Do you have a question of the week?
Yes. Haley thanks you for not having a question to make this editing easier. I'm just going to say, you know what? And this is kind of a Noah question, too. In the words of Jack White and the defenseless Big White, I'm slowly turning into you. Boy, I took a real long walk. I took a real long walk to that one, but the destination was worth it.
That was good, though. That was worth it. Yeah.
But I'm gonna do a bit of a Noah question and ask something personal. What's a way that someone has inspired you to be better?
Aw.
So who's someone that has inspired you to want to be a better version of yourself? And that's our question of the week. And Noah, where can people find you?
Instagram at Watch Polyphonic, I guess, and YouTube, and I don't know. You know where to find me if you're listening to this. Go check out John's stuff. It's really good.
Yeah. I'm gonna boost. We've been doing live streams. No, we've been doing live streams. Let's boost those. I don't know if they're especially public at this point, but they are. You can. Hey, we actually had a few people jump on. We are recording this as of sort of we are in the midst of relaunching. But we've actually had a few people come onto the Patreon this week because of the Horns and Wings podcast. They're excited that it's back. And you $1 patrons who get early access to that can also watch the archives of our streaming shenanigans. We've been playing some fun games, and it's been fun stuff. So yeah, go check that out. Thank you so much to Fiona Staples and Brian K. Vaughan and Phonographics and Image Comics for making a heart-wrenching, gut-punching comic that I still love regardless. Noah, why don't you lead us out here?
Am I shitting?
Ooh, a nice vanilla shitting right there. Just a clean,
some good old vanilla,
classic,
a good old one wipe shit.
Bye. Good old one white meep clap. Hold on. My brain broke from that. One white meep clap.